Hey, hey everybody. Um, so we appreciate all of the support that we've been getting on the newest videos. So we decided to try to, continue making videos again. We're on our own preparing for big Riftbound events. Not this regional in particular,
Yeah,
but most people are pretty
the
confident this one.
the pro play Orlando.
I'm taking it. I'm taking it. But
Nah.
bum,
I am.
bum, bum,
Nah.
yeah, bum. Anyway, we're preparing for all these events, and we prepared for a lot of events in the past. I myself, I prepared for oh my god, so many different games. I've done a lot of big events, mainly regional level, nothing like crazier than that. But Riftbound definitely, I feel like just like all card games, it kind of does have like specific things that you should be doing, specific things you should be following when you're preparing for an event this big. I'm expecting a really stupid number to be at that freaking regional, bro.
Oh yeah, Houston. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
There's gonna be a ridiculous amount of people trying to go to Houston.
yeah,
So make sure you pre-buy your tickets.
yeah.
Pre-buy your tickets. You don't want to show up. You don't want to get the plane ticket to Houston, and it turns out you can't participate.
Yeah, that would be stupid. That event is gonna be really big. So we're hoping that we can make a video trying to just show our like thoughts on how you should prepare for tournaments. This is kind of like I would say our thoughts are pretty standard on how you should prepare for tournaments. I think it's
Mm,
mostly agreed upon. Like this is the
yeah.
best way to do it.
A lot of this is from our experience because I mean, we did okay at our events, but I feel like we could have done a lot better if we prepared more. I
Yeah,
feel like everybody says this. There's never not preparing too much.
yeah.
What am I talking about? You can't over prepare for something. Like especially for like something like this, it's always good to be 100% prepared for everything that could come at your way.
So yeah. First
So
step in anything is picking a deck. I mean, you have to pick a deck. I think these are the two main strategies for like the victory. Obviously, my recommendation, honestly, is play what you think you're gonna have the most fun with and be the most successful with. And sometimes that's some silly rogue deck that you think nobody's prepared for. Will that always be the case? No, but these two are like the most proven strategies for
yeah.
getting games.
So the advantage of picking the best deck in the room is obviously it's the best deck in the room, right? It has the strongest, it's the most consistent most of the time. There's a reason why it's the strongest, and nobody's gonna debate it. The thing about it is everybody's playing the deck and everybody's playing to counter you. So, for example, we used to play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh, and we were like, oh, what if we played the best deck? And I had a lot of friends who played the best deck, but literally everybody in their sideboard played hate for that deck, and he got wiped out immediately. Like he was a really good player, but he got wiped out immediately because everybody was playing side cards for him, and he was like, "Oh, this is so stupid. I couldn't actually show how good I was at the game." It's just that is what it is. It is a card game. You can't just get high rolled.
Yeah, at least with this game, you have a slight benefit of hate doesn't like perfectly exist in this game. Like in games like Yu-Gi-Oh and a lot of other games, it's a lot more built up in the card pool. So like you can like if the deck's really good and you know what that deck's gonna do most of the time, you can like literally just stop them from playing the game sometimes, depending on what you're doing. You can't really do that in this game, but I think another really big aspect of playing the best deck that's a kind of weakness, because I mean there's a bunch of strengths, but one of its other major weaknesses is usually the best deck's worst matchup, including in this game, is its own self. So you're playing the most popular deck to lose to the most popular deck. So you have to like side for the most popular deck, which weakens you to all the other decks in the meta, and you have to find a balance to that. Kaisa, for example, has this issue where it plays Retreat, which is a card that against almost every other deck in the game is mid at best. Like, unless you're playing against something with heavy removal, it's mid at best. Um, but why do we play Retreat? We play Retreat for the Kaisa matchup because the Kaisa matchup is difficult and it's really high rolly. So when you're playing the best deck, you have that really big issue that I don't like of it being a little high rolly. So I'm way more of a tier 2 rogue pick person, but I understand picking the best deck because you're going to have the highest chance of topping with it, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
like there is a reason why it is the best deck, and we're not trying to knock playing the best deck. By all means, if you want to play the best deck, do it. There's a reason why it has so many tops. There's a reason why it's considered the best deck. It's just there there is other options, and you don't always have to feel like I have to play the best deck.
Yep.
Like if you're more comfortable with, and if you're better with, for example, a rogue deck that you've been playing for since the games come out and you're like, oh my god, I know all the ins and outs, I know all my matchups with this, then play that deck. Don't like last minute switch to Kaisa and expect that you're gonna win all your matches.
Yeah, that's a really that is the best piece of advice. Okay, the best deck turns out to be Kaisa. We all know this. Okay, don't and you've been practicing. You're like, man, I'm telling you, like the week before the event, you're gonna be playing your deck. I don't care what deck you play, and you're going to feel like this is the shittiest piece of cardboard I've ever played in my life. It's always happens. The week before the event, you start losing every single match.
Don't switch last minute. You're doing nobody good. Maybe it could work out for you. You could be the 1%. Just don't do it. Don't gamble on it.
Don't risk it. Don't risk it at all. Just work with the deck you've been practicing on. And that's why tier 2 we've been talking about it a little bit. So
ignore my dog.
So tier 2 decks, they have the really big benefit of, and nobody knows what they're doing most of the time. Like nobody's really prepared for them. That's like their biggest benefit. Nobody knows what they're doing, and they're still like strong. It's not like they're gonna be weak in the rogue decks. And also, they have usually the reason they're tier 2 or rogue is because they beat the best decks in some way or aspect. So, for example, like Darius or like to some extent like Annie, like those decks, like they play enough units that like removal from Kaisa isn't as bad into them, and Kaisa has to waste like an Ithkin Rain or something to get rid of a lot of their units, which Kaisa doesn't have to do for most decks. So that gives them a better Kaisa matchup than most decks, which is what puts them in that tier 2 conversation besides their other strengths.
Or like kind of like what I think happened at Nationals, like Victor was like the second most represented deck. I think it was around 30%. I may be wrong with that number. Ridiculous amount of Victor, and it didn't see any tops. And I was thinking about why, and I think it's because the players thought Aurora builds and like ramp E, like more rampy E, would be more in the format. So I think a lot of the players try to counterpick for that.
Yeah, counterpicking is another amazing thing with picking tier 2 rogue decks. Tier 2 and rogue decks can really counter the meta because they just have like all these like counter options that the meta decks don't have. They're not in those colors. And if you can find the right ones, you can just make your Kaisa matchup or your Yi matchup really good. And if you have a really good Kaisa or a really good Yi matchup, that's setting you up really well for an event. And if you can make at least like if you can have like a good Kaisa matchup, a strong Kaisa matchup, an okay Yi matchup, or vice versa, I feel like that sets you up really well to do well in an event with a tier 2 or rogue deck.
Yeah. So how to test?
Testing is the most important part of whatever deck you pick. This is what you're going to be doing for the next month, okay? It's really important to test to find the list that works best for you and how to play that list. Or because you don't want to switch decks too late, but if you like start playing a deck, you're like, you know what, this isn't really going to be the pick. I think it has a lot of weaknesses. And then you switch and you can still test with it. That's much better than having a deck with 0 testing. That would be freaking insane. That's why switching late is really bad. But if you could switch during your testing period, that's a lot better because you can at least get more tests in with the new deck.
Yeah. So what I usually do is I first just focus on my deck. And I say, okay, let me do X amount of play tests until I feel like super comfortable with the deck. And then I try to learn the matchups. So it's like you always start with your worst matchups because like we've seen this go in reverse for Kaisa, but just in general start with your worst matchups. Try to find out how to beat your worst matchups, how to maximize your chances, and then work to your good matchups. What I meant by the Kaisa thing was Kaisa just inherently beats everything, and I didn't think Kaisa really realized that because they were like, oh, our Aurora matchup's so bad. But from when we saw the Nationals, the National winners deck literally just countered Aurora, and the deck inherently beats everything else. So that player realized just from playing his bad matchup first, wait a minute, my deck just inherently beats everything, so I should just build it to not lose to my worst matchup. So I do that a lot, and then after I learn my decks and my matchups, I learn the other decks in the game. I think this is something that a lot of people don't do, is if you just learn at least the other meta decks, at least the decks that you think you will have the highest chance against, you will just make better decisions into them. You look at their field, you be like, okay, let's just say they have this, and they do that helps you think better on the position that you're at. That helps you visualize how your game's gonna go through, and that really, really, really helps you to not get off guarded by a card that you didn't think the deck would play, or like you didn't know that's how that card interacted in that certain way.
Yeah. Another really important aspect of like this thing of play versus your worst matchups first. Tune your deck to beat those first, and then do your good matchups. Is when you play your deck and you play into your good matchups first, you're gonna come up with a really broken list for your deck. It's gonna be like the strongest possible. It's not the strongest possible. The strongest like deck in terms of your own deck strengths. But it's gonna really suck when you go into your bad matchups with that deck, and then you have no options for beating your bad matchups because you have all these options for making your deck look strong, and you're like, oh my god, my deck, it feels really strong, but because my deck doesn't do anything until like this matchup, it sucks. So a good example of this is kind of like I play a lot of Leona, okay? So I'm gonna mention her every time, okay? Leona, if you build that deck to beat up Yi, right, and you focus on your Yi matchup, and you don't look at your Kai'Sa matchup, what you're gonna realize really quickly is you can build a really stupid Leona list for cooking up Yi. For destroying Yi, and then your Kai'Sa matchup is hellish. It's like not even close to winnable. On the other hand, if you start with your bad matchups, you make that Kai'Sa matchup like somewhat winnable, right? Because you're never gonna most of the time your bad matchups, you're never actually gonna make it winnable, but you're gonna get it a little bit better. And then your good matchups, your deck is still inherently better than theirs, better into theirs, so you can. Yeah. So when you build your deck to beat your bad matchups first, you're gonna get those like cards that are good into your bad matchups, and then you can your deck's already gonna be good into your good matchups already, and you can just practice making sure that you still beat those with your deck right now, and that's gonna make sure that you have a balanced plan into everything, and you're not leaning too heavily into one or the other. And then yeah.
If your deck loses to some random rogue deck that like 3% of the population is gonna play, don't focus on it, because like the chances that you're actually gonna run into that deck is gonna be really low. If let's just say your worst matchup is some random deck, tech your deck out for the best decks, because you're probably gonna encounter those a lot more than like some deck that's gonna see 2% of the whole tournament play.
Yeah. So for example, if somehow your worst matchup is Lux, I don't understand how you're an interesting soul. Let's just put it that way. But if your worst matchup is Lux or freaking Garen, God forbid, don't get too scared about it. You're probably fine. But you should really be tuning for your worst matchups in the meta. And then find a plan for every deck. At least in this game, a lot of the time, you really have to switch up and at least make sure your thinking is correct for how you're going to play your deck out. Like, with like Darius or something, you're not always just going to focus on swinging at battlefields. Against Kai'Sa, you really want to focus on getting a bunch of tokens and getting a bunch of units so that their Ithacan Rain doesn't murder you. So you have to just make sure that you have a plan in mind for every deck possible, because then you're going to make sure that you don't make some silly misplay that just loses you the game. And sell your soul to the game, I just mean practice a lot. Just practice a lot. Practice a lot, okay? Until you're like stupid confident. That's where you want to be. You want to be really stupid confident. You want to feel like you solved the format. And that's how you are going to be confident enough to go into those games and those matches, knowing that you have a plan, have something in mind to deal with whatever your opponent does to you. Yeah, this is like the most important thing. This is what testing gives you. Your deck, usually you're not going to change your engine too much. What you're going to change is your tech. Your little removal options, your little cards that not everybody's playing. Those cards that you pick are probably the most important cards in your deck, because they're the ones that you think are going to help you beat the meta. So when you're making your tech, first of all, your tech should be 100% for the best decks in the game. You shouldn't be teching for just random stuff. Like, I would never tech for Rogue. Like, that's just not something I would do. You put in tech for the best decks, and you want to like use them to make your bad matchups, or the matchups that you think you're going to see a lot, really good. And if you can make those bad matchups pretty good, it's going to be insane. And then, right, once your deck is as teched out as it can be, while still keeping its strength, then you work on your side deck to make sure that, okay, now I know what cards are weak into the best decks, and I can switch out cards to make sure that I'm as strong as possible in games 2 and 3.
Yeah. So it's not really just the best decks. It's just what you think is going to be the most popular. Because it's like, yeah, X deck might not be the best deck in the room, but if 20-30% of the tournament plays it, then it's just good to have something for that matchup. Because you're probably going to encounter it 2, maybe 3 times throughout like a 9-round tournament.
Yeah.
Another thing is the side deck. I feel like a lot of Riftbound players just put one-ofs in their deck that just like don't make sense to me, like at all. Like it just seems like they're not confident with the card. And I think it comes from Legend of Runeterra because it was a best of one format, and you would put like, a one of tech option for whatever deck. You don't need to do that in Riftbound. Like if there's a tech option, for example, like into Yi or into Kaisa, and you think you're gonna play against it, then put more of that card in your main deck. Worst case scenario, you use your side deck to take the card out and replace it for a better card for whatever matchup it's for. That's literally that's literally the whole point of the side deck. Like literally the whole point of the side deck is to take out bad cards into certain matchups and put in good cards into those matchups.
Yeah. Another thing about like siding is really finding your siding patterns, because the quicker, like the less you have to actually think during a tournament, the better. Because you want to save that like all that brain power for the actual like really hard scenarios. But if you always know what to like, if you know what to do in certain spots, it's gonna save you just a little bit. If you're like, okay, I see this deck, I know what I'm putting in. I see this deck, I know what I'm putting in. And since there's only 12 decks in the game right now, like 12 leaders, less of that you're actually gonna be facing in the tournament, you can really come up with a side plan for every single deck. You can make a plan for every single deck. This is one of the few games where you have the option to do that and take advantage of it. And the last thing about tech is just for your entire deck, you should do this. Think incredibly heavily about every single card you're putting down in your deck and thinking you're like, oh, I'm playing this. Think about why it's there and if it fulfills that position. And maybe there's a better card that fulfills the same job. So I'm going to kind of go over that when we go over a list. We're going to do some examples of like how to tech out your deck, where we're going to talk about like each individual tech card and why we put it there.
Yeah. This last point also applies to the one-of thing, because it's like I don't think one-ofs are inherently too bad. I just feel like you're taking a slot for a card that just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, yeah, X card might be good into this matchup, but how often are you realistically gonna, number one, play into that matchup, and number two, draw the one-of in a 40 card deck? Like
especially with a low amount of draw power. This game is a low amount of draw power.
Yeah, like it, unless you're playing specifically Kaisa, but you have to play a deck that plays a lot of draw power in order to make it somewhat make sense, or like make it somewhat searchable. It's just, in my opinion, playing one-ofs of cards kind of just seems like you're not confident with it, and you should just maximize the chances of you seeing the cards that you want to see, especially in certain matchups.
Yeah. So this is my Leona list. You're gonna keep noticing really crazy changes every single time I put this up. But once again, I'm testing it a lot, and this is just the tech out process. So there's the engine. I'm not gonna go over the engine again. You guys can watch the primer for most of the engine talk. But for example, my tech, I play Wind Wall, and what's the purpose of this card? This card's purpose is to beat really big spell finishers, because a lot of the spell finishers, they just win the game on the spot if my opponent ever accidentally gets to 6 points, and that's really freaking annoying. And being able to just say no to that, and they spend a lot of resources for it, and I say no, and then I probably win next turn, that feels really, really good to me. So that's why I play things like Wind Wall. But like, I'm playing Wind Wall right now, but maybe down the line I start thinking, hey, the one card that balances the freaking game state and puts everything to 2. I don't know. What's the name? It's one yellow card. It puts everything to 2. We were talking about it in this deck. A finisher. Never mind. Am I lost? You guys know what I'm talking about. It's like 7 costs. It like puts everything, like 2 cards in hand, 2 runes.
Oh yeah, Divine Punishment. Yeah.
Yeah, Divine Punishment. So maybe I'm starting to think, you know what? Most of the time, right? I get Wind Wall, and I'm saving it for these endgame cards, and I keep saving it in my hand for these endgame things. And it would be better to play Divine Punishment, because at least then I like maybe equalize a little more with my opponent, and I punish them for holding up that spell. Maybe. It could happen. Who knows? That's something I've been thinking about. That's what the kind of evaluation process you go to. Is Wind Wall really the best option for doing what I want it to do? Facebreaker. This is like an example of a switch I made. I don't know how I'm feeling about it yet, but for example, I played Rune Prison, and somebody gave me a really good idea in the comments of my Leona video actually. I play Rune Prison 90% of the time as a defensive card because Leona stuns units for me. I don't need to stun. So if I'm using it as a defensive card to prevent a unit from hitting me, Facebreaker does the same thing, but I'll get a draw off Dreaming Tree, and it costs less. So why am I playing a Rune Prism? That's a really important thing. But also I saw, hey, Rune Prism's really good on attack too, and it only stuns their unit. So something like my set could take out a Darius. Like a Darius swings at me for 7, and they're like a Darius swinging at me for 7, and they're trying to just kill me and the Darius, which is something that Kaisa would do. Now I have the ability to stun their unit, kill their Darius, and I take way less punishment. I'm playing 3-cost units. So that's a really weird tech thing that I'm doing. I think a lot of people are going first in this game. I don't think going first or going second is significantly better. I think it's 100% based on your curve. But I think that if I play going second, right, I could play a lot of 3-cost units, punish my opponent's 2-cost unit, and if I have my Obelisk of Power, I can play Leona turn 1. So I think that 3-cost units are a little better because I like Obelisk of Power, I like going second. 3-cost units work well with Obelisk of Power if I have to go first. And 3-cost units punish my opponent for going first and playing their 2-cost units because I just swing over them inherently. And I like that aspect, especially with this deck, which wants to trade heavily. Some other tech like Call to Glory, that's just for Kaisa. It's free, unlike other spells that dodge Falling Star, so I was thinking about that for a while. Shen, I moved that into the deck because I realized, wait a minute, there's actually no way in the game to get +5 defense for no reason, and I realized that's kind of broken. +5 on defense is absolutely stupid. Nothing can get over, like, it protects my Leona, it has tank, I realized tank is busted. Shen was low-key a play. And Leona Zealot, I'm playing her because I think that there's a lot of, like, go tall units, and sometimes it's really busted to go Leona, stun something, and swing back Leona, now it has -8, and that's really stupid. So I really like playing around that card for one of my finishers. So that's the kind of process you want to go through with your tech. Think about your tech, think about why you're playing it, see if there's any cards that fit that description.
So here we have the first place national winner for China, and this is like their sort of tech. Like they put in the retreat for the mirror. They put in a 1 copy of the red Poro for the mirror. They said our worst matchup in the game is Aurora decks and these ramp decks. So I'm gonna play 2 Time Warp, 2 Rain in the main, and we're also gonna side 2 Gear Removal, literally just for that matchup to guarantee that we maximize the amount of points before they go crazy and do what they need to do. And then they put smoke screens to the side because it's just kind of mid into the mirror. Like they said, I'm only scared of 2 matchups, and that's the mirror, and that's Aurora decks, and I'm just gonna tech my whole deck to just build around these.
Yeah, and I think this is an example of something you should do. Look at what the top decks are playing. Look at their options. Look at their tech. Think of the cards they're playing that not everyone else is playing, and think, hey, why are they doing this? Because this national first place list, I'm not even joking, at your next regional, at your next local, at your next event, try to find out what Kaisa player lists are playing. I guarantee you most players are playing some variation of this. A lot of Kaisa players are going to be playing just stock the national list. I guarantee you a lot of players are going to do it. And that's not a bad idea because the best deck is the best deck for a reason, and the topping national deck is the topping national deck for a reason. But if you know what they're going to play, you can play better options into it. So you want to know what the best decks are playing so you can plan for them, and if you know what their tech is, that makes you even more broken because you're not going to get surprised by it.
These are super, 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 super important. A lot of things that people don't realize is how long you're going to be playing the game. We went to a 9-round Swiss YCS. 9 rounds. All day. We went there at like 8 and we got out at like 10 at night.
Yeah, no.
Literally all day of playing a card game. You need to practice long sessions with your friends. That was one of our biggest blunders that we didn't do,
Yeah,
and at least I felt it
yeah,
towards the end.
yeah. You need to like not even just practicing for testing reasons, practicing for stamina reasons.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the same event, and this happened to me multiple times. Like I played a lot of my regionals like that I've done really well at. I played them from home, so it was online regionals, so I didn't care. I had all this stuff given to me. I could just go in my kitchen, bro. I was chilling, bro. It was light. Then I went to that freaking YCS and I died in the seventh round. It was like seventh round or something. I was doing really well, and I died in the middle of the seventh round. I had like a tummy ache or whatever, and I was getting smoked, bro. It did not feel good at all.
And then you didn't show up for day 2.
Yeah, don't let me talk about it, okay? That's a fake story, okay? Fake news, fake news, fake news. Just plan to play for a really long time. Your locals is not enough. I promise you. It is not as long as you think. It is not as long as a freaking regional event. You gotta play for a while.
Your regionals, like the Houston regional, is probably gonna be like 9 or 10 rounds of Swiss. That's so long. Like
That is
like
hours talk.
your 4 to 5 round locals may seem like a piece of cake, but it gets exponential.
Yeah, and the more players there are, guess what? And the more players are going to time. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. It's a lot longer than it sounds. And you're gonna be in a big room, and everyone's gonna be talking. It's gonna be a loud, big room for literally the all day, from morning to bed, and then you go home and you're asleep. You fall. It is a long day.
Yeah.
So make sure to bring food and water. Like these are the essentials. You have to stay hydrated. You have to stay hydrated, and you have to make sure that you have energy.
Yeah, bring 100%. Okay, your bag should be sleeves, deck boxes, food, and other essentials. Medicine super important. Bring emergency medicine for like the little random things that catch you, bro.
Yeah,
I had a
bring
stomach
like
ache, seventh round. My boy had Pepto-Bismol. I've never prayed to a man, but I almost did that thing. Okay. I almost did that.
yeah. Bring Advil, because you might get a headache after playing a card game for so long. You might get a headache. Bring Advil.
And all the talking in the room, and it's oh god.
Yeah. Bring Advil. Bring Pepto-Bismol. Bring whatever. Just make sure you bring snacks, drinks, and sleeves. Remember when that judge broke one of your sleeves and you had to buy a whole new pack?
Yeah, no. Okay, sleeves are okay. Deck checks. I don't know how like popular they'll be, but I know in most games there's freaking deck checks. And deck checks, they see an issue with your sleeve that is slightly marked. You're switching that whole deck out. You might as well get new sleeves the day before the event, bro. Get new sleeves the day before the event. I don't know, week of the event. You know, break them in a little bit and then go to the event. It's a lot with the new sleeves. Money, you never know when some random expense is gonna come up. Don't just show up to the event and be like, I paid my ticket, I'm done. There's little things that might come up. And friends, do not going into an event alone has to be some sort of hell. Like I feel like I feel like there's like 9 levels of hell, and number 9 is going to a card game event alone. That don't do it alone.
It's a lot more fun with friends.
It's a lot more fun when you could talk to somebody even after the rounds, even if they're not like competing. There's a ton of side events they can do. There's a ton of extra stuff to do at the hall. We had friends who like got like out in the first like 3 rounds, but they stayed for most of the rest of the event because it's still just a fun time.
Depends on the venue, but yeah, like a lot of the times, like these places love to make these events as enjoyable as possible because they know sitting in a ginormous room with 2,000 other players, it's really bad. But even you don't usually, if you live around the area, because most people don't travel across country to go to an event. Maybe you guys are, but usually, like you'll see like people from your local area, kind of like that's what happened with us. Like we haven't seen that guy in years, but we came up, we had fun, we talked. Like it's just a lot more fun and a lot more motivating to have other peers around you that you somewhat know, and to like compare and talk about your games and how you could have done better. And
it makes everything.
It makes it way better.
So yeah, don't fall for these. And you should be doing pretty fine at your events after that. Maybe, who knows? I wish all of you luck at Houston. You guys got like 2 weeks.
Yeah, like
1 week, dog. Like 1 week.
like a week and a half.
Like
Yeah.
a week and a half, and then we're stealing all your lists, bro. Yeah, don't talk about it, man. Don't talk about it, man.
Everyone's gonna be stealing your list.
Your list is gone.
Alright. Don't forget to like and subscribe and comment anything else that we missed. We're not perfect. We try to include as much information, but we are two kids that don't have that much experience. There's probably someone with a lot more experience than us. But
yeah, if you've been to an event, talk about your experience. And we'll catch you whenever we decide to make a video.
Yep.